couple with a brick, brew and a friend, bleed orange and blue to the bitter end. Come and join us, DNVR. We are DNVR.
We are DNVR, and we are live from Studio A. The A stands for atrocious.
That's a good one.
Very well played.
Atrocious effort from the Broncos yesterday. We will get into all of that fun stuff here in just a second. But first, I want to tell you about our friends over at MSU Denver Online, where you can get a great education online, affordable, and all of their courses are taught by professors who bring the real world into the classroom, which will be great for you as you look to work a full-time job and further your education. There's no better place to do that than over at MSU Denver Online. So check them out, msudenver.edu/online.
My boys, what's up? Not the happiest of Mondays in Broncos country, certainly. You know, this feels like if you're in school and like right before a big break, you find out that you failed a class or you have an F in a class. So you're so pumped for the break, but you know that first 2 days of break are going to be tough when you have to come to the realization and tell your parents about it.
At least you don't have to go to summer school and make it up, though.
I was always pretty good at putting those things behind me for the break, and then so I was like, that's a future Ryan problem. I'll address that after Thanksgiving break. You're totally right. They get to break now, and I can't imagine it's going to be nearly as fun as it would have been if they won yesterday. Mace, we didn't have you obviously on the show yesterday as you were at the stadium getting interviews, doing all that good stuff. So I want to start with your take on the game, but more importantly, the topic that I guess is sweeping Broncos country today, which of course is the effort or extreme lack thereof from Teddy Bridgewater on the fumble return.
Honestly, I'm sad. I'm sad that one play has, understandably so, but has still resulted in a toxicity that the level that I haven't seen.
Yeah,
which takes to a new high. I'm sad for Teddy because this is going to define him.
Yeah,
think about like all the work that he did to come back from that injury in 2016. It's not like the guy isn't tough, right? Not tough. He is tough. He is tenacious. He showed that before. He does care, but none of that matters when you have such a visceral, visual moment like that. I mean, literally anything he could have done would have been better than just kind of having that lunge in and then pulling back. He could have done a soccer-style slide tackle and gotten called for tripping, but it's better than a touchdown. He could have just thrown himself out there and been like an obstruction. Maybe Slade jumps over him, but that buys enough time for Cameron Fleming to close and tackle him. He could have just continued chasing him and then dove at like the 15-yard line and falling short, and everyone would have said, oh, well, hey, you know what? Hey, he was trying to bring him down, and that's it. There were all these choices he could have made in that split-second moment, and he made the worst possible choice.
I agree, and you're right. It is kind of sad because we talked about in the offseason, like everywhere Teddy Bridgewater has gone, he's been loved. In Carolina, maybe not quite as much as some of his other stops, but
probably because they didn't get to know him in the same way because of the pandemic.
Right,
in
right.
Carolina, but New Orleans, Minnesota, even the Jets briefly.
This was the nail in the coffin for the fact that ends in Denver.
Yeah.
Like I said last night, I don't think he'll ever live it down in this town. I mean, this town is harsh, for
especially
sure.
on quarterbacks.
Harsh enough that, and maybe this is, I'm assuming here, but in my opinion, it's no coincidence that Teddy Bridgewater recently deleted all of his social media. Not after the game. Sometime last week or before that is when I found out about it. So it's a harsh place to play. And I think, again, this put the nail in the coffin that this will not be another one on the list of places that loves Teddy Bridgewater when he's no longer here.
Yeah, think about it. We are a town of Craig Morton being in the hospital all week and leaving to play the AFC Championship game on New Year's Day 1978. We're a town of the helicopter. Mm-hmm. Even Peyton Manning bringing down Calais Campbell in the open field. That is what this town, this fan base expects, not putting your shoulder in and then pulling back.
No.
That is the Broncos country standard.
Well, and again, it's a really, really high standard, but I woke up this morning thinking to myself, was I too harsh on Teddy last night? I put out there calling him business decision Bridgewater, and I was like,
you weren't the only one who called him that.
No, and I was like, maybe I was a little too tough on him. And then I opened up Twitter and I saw just former player after former player after former player after former player sharing the same sentiment that, a lot of people had. And I just said, man, if all of those guys are saying this, then it's Brandon Stokely and it's Chad Brown and Tyler Columbus and Rich Gannon. I saw another more national guy, like maybe
Emmanuel Acho.
Right. Emmanuel Acho. The list goes on and on and on of former players who are saying this stuff. So this is not just, us media guys sitting here in our warm, comfy chairs saying that guy should go tackle that guy. It's football players saying that's unacceptable. And if they feel that way, then you can just about guarantee that there are some guys in that locker room who feel that same way. And that's when I said, no, this was like probably as bad as it gets from an optics standpoint for a player.
And the bummer for his teammates, for Teddy's teammates, is they don't look at the stats and say Teddy's on pace for 30 touchdowns in the best season of his career. They look and say, man, if my quarterback's not going out and putting it all on the line, when it's still a game very much so, in a crucial game, a game to take you to a winning record and potentially near the top of the AFC West, if he's not willing to do that, these next 7 games, man, let's just cruise into the offseason here. I'm going to get away, and I'm not even going to think about Broncos. And when I come back, I'm still going to be thinking about that trip that I'm taking in January.
And it goes into just an issue I had with Teddy in a few moments yesterday, which was like awareness of just the game. It's a 7-point game at that moment. If you are able to make a tackle, it's right around the 50-yard line, I think.
Yeah.
Not only is there a chance that they score 0, there's a chance you hold them to 3. There's definitely a solid chance you don't give up a touchdown there.
Your defense was playing well in the second half, a lot better than it did in the first half.
And I bet if you ask Peyton Manning why he went out there and made those tackles, it's for that exact reason. Is there's a good chance our defense can get a stop, and that's going to be really important in the grand scheme of this game. And so above all else, to me, it's like, man, you just didn't have the wherewithal to think, if I can just somehow, some way get this guy on the ground, we still have a chance to win this game. Because I think we can all agree that when you looked up at the scoreboard after that play and realized it was, is that 30-13?
That was 27.
27
yes. 13.
27-13 is after he goes in. I think we all looked up there and said, Broncos aren't getting to 27 today.
Yeah. No, and that's when the boo birds really started coming out, understandably so. That's when the Eagles chant, you could start to hear them. That's when everything went from not just bad football game, but to really bad environment of what's also to come for these Broncos. These next 2 weeks, the Broncos had a golden opportunity to go into the bye on a 3-game win streak, hosting the Chargers, who lost. Draymond Jones acknowledged after the game they knew the Chargers lost before they went out and played. They knew that they had an opportunity to get a game on them and then also be the winning team going into this game against the Chargers in 2 weeks, and they completely blew it. I mean, that play, Broncos probably still lose just with how they were dominating, even if Teddy Bridgewater does make a tackle, but at least they have a chance. And at least there's hope going into the fourth quarter instead of this thing just getting really one of the ugliest moments that we've seen in Broncos country.
Yeah, there was an old Mace, you put out something about all the double-digit losses at home. What was that stat?
They've had 7 double-digit losses in the last 2 years at home, which is the most in any 2-year stretch of Broncos history. They've had 8 of those since Vic Fangio took over. That's the most in a 3-year stretch since the 1960s.
There's an old saying...
And there's still games left this year.
Yeah, there's still 4 games left at home.
There's an old saying that getting embarrassed at home is how you get fired.
Yeah.
And I was thinking when I read your stat, like, whatever happened to that? And I think what it is, there's no owner in a shiny box with all of his rich friends embarrassed that the team is getting embarrassed and they're sitting there in front of their friends. In fact, the only person I saw that was wearing shiny clothes and all that stuff in a box yesterday was Guy Fieri.
Yeah. You know what?
Flavortown.
Yeah, he was there.
There was some good food yesterday at the tailgate. Tailgate was Flavortown.
It was.
Anyway, but it's
Sexy
funny
pizza.
you talk about the ownership, and one of my favorite Pat Bowlen stories is how after a crushing loss, he walks into the PR office and says, "I feel lousy. I feel terrible, and I know y'all have a stat. You guys have a stat that will explain why." And I think that like the home game loss stat, the double-digit losses, that's one of those that probably explains on a visceral level why people feel bad about the trajectory of this team under Vic Fangio as a whole.
Right.
Because it keeps happening over and over again. I mean, it used to be the sight of Broncos fans leaving early. I mean, that was rare, right? Well, 10 minutes to go, and you see the exodus, the movement of the people up the aisles to the concourse and out the door.
I mean, it was just pretty much Eagles fans the final five minutes. It was cleared out.
The Eagles chants reverberating through the concourse, reverberating around the stands in the fourth quarter. I mean, I can't blame Eagles fans for feeling that way. It's funny that 7 days before, it was the Broncos taking over, fans taking over another venue, and it was turned about in 7 days.
It is crazy, and you're right, Mace. Those home losses hurt more for the fan base. And I said this after the Raiders game that I went to, but I'll say it again after this one. I sympathize a lot more with people being super upset after those losses, especially the ones who went to the game, because it is such a commitment. It is a time commitment.
Yeah.
It is a big financial commitment, and it's also the commitment of like dealing with traffic after the game. All those little things.
Some emotional commitment too.
Emotional commitment. All those little things add up. And so when I see people, just cursing the team to the high heavens when they're leaving the stadium, I'm like, I get it. Yeah. I know where that's coming from.
Yeah.
And so I think you're right. Like, why does this feel so bad? Those home losses are like double. They count as double, at least in terms of the emotional costs.
Well, and guys, we know that Broncos fans, I think every Broncos fan wants significant change right now. We don't believe that significant change is going to happen during this week, during next week, and obviously significant change. I don't think we're talking about Pat Shurmur anymore. People want bigger change than that, and they don't want Tom McMahon. I mean, they want Tom McMahon gone, but that wouldn't satisfy people, I don't think. They want a quarterback change or they want a head coaching change, and we don't think that's going to happen right now, but let's look at home games that the Broncos have coming up where we think that could, and maybe a big change does happen. Do you guys think that could happen in 2 weeks after the Los Angeles Chargers game at home? The first game after the bye.
A move?
Yes.
Leading into that game or right after?
After. Because we know a move isn't going to happen. Whether it's quarterback change after the game or a head coach change after the game.
I don't think it'd be a quarterback change. Not with Kansas City the following week.
So do you think head coach change?
I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't think anything is happening at any point.
Okay, well then how about this? The next home game. Mace said they play the Chiefs on the road the next week. Then after, Detroit Lions at home. This will be their first home game in December. And what do we know about George Payton? He wants to be competitive in November and December. This is their first home game in December.
Okay. If they lose that one, heads could roll.
Yeah. I think you might see a quarterback change going into the Detroit game, actually. That's the moment where I could... That actually, after the Chiefs road game and before the Lions game is where I could see Drew Lock going back in.
I think Drew's 1-0 against the Lions in his career.
Yeah, in Color Rush a couple of years ago. But I don't think there would be a head coaching change until the team was eliminated. And at that point, it's just to start the process because you can do Zoom interviews before the end of the season. I remember, and kind of my own as a fan, I remember it was in 2014, the day after the Braves were eliminated from playoff contention, they fired their GM the next day. Like, I could see something like that. The day after the Broncos are eliminated mathematically from the playoff conversation, that if that happened, if they are eliminated, the day after that happens, I could see Peyton making the move. There's no reason not to at that point if you've already decided you're moving on.
Well, the Broncos probably won't be mathematically eliminated from the playoffs after losing to Detroit. They'll be on a 4-game losing streak at that point.
God, they lose.
They'll be 5-8. I think mathematically they'll still be alive, but I think that's the earliest a change could happen, and I could absolutely see it happening if that's the route they go. They lose to the Chargers, not crazy to see. They lose to the Chiefs on the road, not crazy to see. And then losing to Detroit, you hope that's crazy to see. But if that domino falls, then that's when I see a move being made, regardless of where they are. Because you're not only out of the playoffs then, there's no hope even if mathematically you're still alive, but you are the most embarrassing team in the NFL at that point. And we've talked about how George Paton had a 7-8 game leeway in this season, about how people weren't going to come after him. People started coming after him a couple of weeks ago, and that's when that leeway is off. If he allows this to go through a 4-game losing streak when that last loss is against the Detroit Lions at home, then it really is on him as well.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to get to that point. Maybe some people might think that's unfortunately. I think this team is going to go up and down the rest of the season, and end up, with 7 or 8 wins. And
perfectly forgettable year.
Right, exactly. I've got 2 weeks to change my decision on this, but if we know how I feel about the Chargers, I don't think I'm ever going to stop thinking this. I think they're going to beat the Chargers, and then it's going to be right back up. Oh, look at this! They're 6-5. And then they're going to go get crushed by the Chiefs on the road. And they're going to come back and beat the Lions. Oh, my gosh. Look at this. They're 7-6.
And they're 8-6.
And so, yeah.
And then they go on the road and have their hopes squashed like grapes.
Yeah. So I think that that's where this is going. And they're just going to middle around. And they're going to end up with the 17th pick in the draft. And, it's going to be one of those. It's going to be what we a lot of times have called a worst case scenario.
Well, I need to know what you guys want from this season, where the Broncos sit right now. But first, I got to get to my DraftKings pick of the week, guys, because it's a sensitive one, time-sensitive one. Guys, tell me if I'm wrong. I love the Rams tonight. I know they looked so bad 8 days ago on primetime football. They looked terrible against the Derrick Henry-less Tennessee Titans. They're 3.5-point favorites on the road. Man, I think that is so nice that that's below 7. I think the Rams are going to crush them, and I think that win or that loss last week and looking terrible is going to play into that. And I think Sean McVay is going to be ready. I don't know if Von Miller's playing. Have we got an official word on that?
Sounded like he was trending toward playing.
Okay. That would be awesome to see him play. We obviously know OBJ is going to play. Rams are going to dominate the 49ers, and man, we're just going to be sitting here again tomorrow saying, Kyle Shanahan, the Broncos maybe weren't wrong on not hiring him. So
future Broncos offensive coordinator.
Exactly. There we go. Give me Rams minus 3.5 going into San Francisco.
I like it. One time on the Bet Show, someone said that no masculine man ever puts Y at the end of another man's name. So ever since then, we've just referred to this man as Koopy Cuppy. So Koopy Cuppy going for over 96.5 yards tonight. I think they just feed him. No Robert Woods for them anymore, which I think really hurts. But they're so lucky that they just get to bring in OBJ, not as a replacement for Robert Woods, because I think actually Robert Woods might be a better receiver than him, but as an attention grabber. You put him out there, the defense has to pay a little attention to him, and that's going to help Cooper Kupp a lot, or Koopy Cuppy.
What about putting the Y sound, but it's IE. Like you see it in hockey all the time.
Yeah, no. According to the commenter, no masculine man would ever do that.
See, that's I gotta disagree. I disagree with that comment.
I think we disagree too.
Yes, I know. That's like I think I'm hearing that. I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, really? That's like part of the hockey culture, which is as masculine as anything. Yes, as anything. Anyway, I'm going back to soccer. I'm going to CONCACAF. Of course, the U.S. got that big win over Mexico on Friday night. What a match that was.
Yeah, here's not our producer today, so I can jab him one more time.
Yeah, but Mexico has another big game coming up tomorrow, of course, as this international window continues. The USA will play Jamaica, but also Mexico has to go play against Canada, which is also off to a really good start and is one of those 3 positions that guarantees progressing to the World Cup finals in Qatar next year. Get Canada hosting Mexico. I think Mexico rebounds, but gets a draw. It's 21-10 odds on a draw in the Canada-Mexico match think it's going to end up 1-all.
Plus 210, is that what that would be?
21-10, yeah.
Impressive. There you
There
go.
you go. See, now it's in language that everybody can understand.
And the great thing about DraftKings is no matter what language you speak in terms of betting, you can have it switched to fit your needs.
That's what I have.
Mace has it his way, which we don't understand, so we turn it to English in our view and have it our way. There's also a couple of other ways you can have it, but you can have it all over at DraftKings Sportsbook. And speaking of having it all, if you bet $1 on any football game this week and that team scores a point in the game, you'll get $100 in free bets if you're a new user. So get in on tonight's game. I guarantee you the Rams are going to score a point. 49ers probably will as well. But bet on one of those teams. When they score, you'll get $100 in free bets, which you can use this Thursday night for Thursday Night Football. You can use it this weekend. You don't have Broncos to watch this coming weekend. There's still going to be plenty of good football, which you may enjoy after seeing the Broncos yesterday. So make sure to download the app. Download the app right now, the DraftKings Sportsbook app, and use promo code DNVR when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 in free bets when that team scores. And of course, DraftKings is an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older, Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
All right, guys. The Broncos are 5-5. The tailgate remains undefeated.
Yes.
You got to, if you're going to the game, you got to come check it out. A couple people yesterday tweeting at us, telling us in person, like, man, this is the only way to experience a Broncos game anymore. You guys nailed the game day experience, and I have to agree with them. The sexy pizza, the Breck brews, the good company, not the seltzers, but those are there too. But just, being around other good Broncos fans. We had some people bring their friends who were Eagles fans, which, everyone gets along, has some fun with it. We had the beer pong, bags were set up, there was can jam, just an all-around great time. So next home game, of course, a couple weeks from now. If you are going to go, start planning yourself now to go to the DNVR tailgate. And in the meantime, come hang out down at the DNVR bar, have some good times down here.
And I've had a lot of people ask me, where do I get tickets? Go to DNVRlocker.com to get those.
And those might not quite be up yet, but just keep an eye out for them. It'll be up soon.
Yep. Also want to tell you about Ball, and that's, of course, Zach's and Julie's workplace. Ball has been practicing diversity and inclusion for years, while other major companies just talk about it as a workplace idealism. Their culture of belonging has been noticed by the Human Rights Campaign, and they have a corporate equality index score of 100%, so your background, whatever it is, will not prevent you from succeeding there. It's just about your hard work and commitment. And of course, we tell you a lot about the chance to work at Ball. They're looking for production technicians, and the pay, of course, starts at $27.39 per hour with potential for increases at 6, 12, and 18 months on the job. And from that, there are a lot of things you can do. You can go from being a production technician, working on the floor of making all those aluminum cans, including the one inside my koozie here, to even working in management. At Ball, all positions have importance and impact. And of course, like I said, it's an inclusive workplace. It's a diverse workplace. There are organizations they're a part of that you can join if you go work at Ball that will help nurture that side of you. So they're doing big things at Ball. You can be part of something bigger than yourself, part of making 101 billion cans. That's billion with a B. And of course, that's good for the planet because aluminum is infinitely recyclable, so you can recycle it over and over. It can go back into use. It's the kind of thing that we want to see. So if you want to join Ball, text GOLDEN to 77222, and you'll be linked to open positions, or go directly to jobs.ball.com and search for Golden. That's jobs.ball.com and search for Golden, or simply text GOLDEN to 77222 to be like Zach's Aunt Julie and be unstoppable at Ball.
And guys, do you want the Broncos to be unstoppable after this loss yesterday? Because the way you guys are talking makes it seem like now it's time to start tanking and not be in the middle. Or
it's too late.
Is it? Yeah, it really is too late. Or is it better to win? And where are you right? What's ideal for the Broncos at 5-5?
I mean, ideal, of course, is still making the playoffs. And again, everything just changes so quickly that I firmly believe they're going to go beat the Chargers. And all of a sudden the playoffs are back alive, and they're, right there and right with the first place teams in the division.
They'd be maybe a game within a game of the Chiefs, like, but they can go to Kansas City. And hey, they kept it close last year at Arrowhead. Can they do a little bit more? Teddy, if Teddy Bridgewater is the quarterback, in spite of everything being said today, well, Teddy nearly beat the Chiefs with the Panthers, and he's got look. This is a preview of the conversation that will happen if they beat the Chargers.
Yeah, and it'll be us. We'll be saying it.
Yep.
But where I said this last night, there's the old saying, if someone tells you who they are, believe them the first time. Mm-hmm. And we know who this team is. They're not going to get it done in the biggest moments. So, I don't believe they're going to be able to get the big wins that are necessary to make the playoffs, because now the schedule tightens up. Now the schedule toughens up. There's no gimmies out there other than that Lions game. That's the one that should be a gimme. But
Not just a gimme, Ryan. That's the only team with a losing record.
Right. You are going to have to pull off some big time, gut it out, come back from behind wins, which another damning stat Mace put out yesterday.
Yeah.
1-20 in the Vic Fangio era when trailing at halftime. The one, of course, being Drew Lock's miraculous comeback that, was awesome. It should have never happened. But, great comeback. Not just like a standard, you were down 7 at half and you played better in the second half win. It was like a miraculous, everything comes together type of win. So the Broncos are going to have one of those if they're going to even come close to making a push for the playoffs. And I don't believe they can. So, yeah, if you told me you can bet on making the playoffs, or I can just pick to lose every game the rest of the season. If I could just fast forward through the rest of the season, I would pick that one. Doesn't work that way. The answer is I don't know. What I do know is they're going to end up middling their way to an average season.
Well, here's where maybe they don't middle their way through. The Broncos are 1-4 against teams that don't have a losing record. So 500 or better. Of course, the only win coming against the Cowboys last week gave us all so much hope about this team. Now they've lost against a bad team now. But only one win or only one loss, undefeated against the other bad teams below 500. And like we said, Detroit's their only game, their only team who has a losing record the rest of the way. So if they continue this, maybe they pick up one win against the 6 other teams they play with a winning record, and they beat the Lions. So that's 2 wins, and then so we're looking at what, a 7-10 record, and that is
death.
Middling. Yes,
that's terrible.
It's probably better than 8-9 though.
I would rather see them go 5-12 than 7-10 or 8-9.
Without a doubt. But do you see that happening, Mace?
No,
yeah,
because there's too much talent on the roster to do that.
So, as of right now, the Broncos are 5-5. This is the first time I've gone to this website all season, just a state of affairs type of thing. I'm on tankathon.com/NFL. Broncos are 5-5. They would have the 14th pick right now. Now, just look at these teams below them and ask yourself, are those teams going to end up, are they on the right track, or are they going to continue to stay right there or below the Broncos? Minnesota, they could probably, they'll probably
leapfrog them.
Yep. Atlanta, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Washington, Chicago, Seattle, New York Giants, Miami Dolphins, Jacksonville, the Jets, the Texans, and the Lions.
I think you said maybe 3 teams. Seattle's a team that could turn it around a little bit.
They're going to have Russ, so they'll win games.
Exactly. The Eagles, if they continue to play good, they could. And
I think Eagles fans are finally starting to believe me that Jalen Hurts is legit.
Yeah,
there was a lot of skepticism just monitoring things in Philadelphia the last week, but I mean, he was the best player on that field yesterday.
His best throw of the game got dropped too.
Yeah, it did. Right through the hands. Would have been another 50-yard touchdown.
Perfect throw.
Yep, exactly. And then can you read me the 5 closest teams again to the Broncos?
The 5 closest teams, and again, we can go to the teams ahead of them too, but I don't think they're going to be worse than the Broncos. Minnesota,
so the Vikings,
Minnesota, Atlanta, Philadelphia, San Francisco.
Maybe San Francisco, but I don't have any trust in them. So we're talking 3 or 4 teams. Let's just say 3 right now. So that gets the Broncos to 11th. Broncos were at 9th.
Like, even if they lose out, is what I'm saying. Like, I don't like. Obviously, a couple of these teams. Philadelphia is going to win some more games. Atlanta, maybe. Minnesota's going to win some more games. But those Broncos have a 1-game lead on all of them.
Right. Well, and Ryan, what it comes down to is the Broncos are in no way getting a top 5 pick. They're not going to be even close to that. And they probably won't even have a top 10 pick, is what we're saying here.
Right.
Yeah.
They could be anywhere between 10 and 15. And what does everyone want? A quarterback. This isn't the best quarterback draft class right now as it stands. And we know, even when there's now what looks to be a great quarterback on the board with Mac Jones and potentially Justin Fields, that it's not like George Payton's going crazy for quarterbacks and is just going to take one at whatever cost. So the Broncos are probably going to be in a worse spot than they were last year.
It's pretty crazy. And again, I keep watching, hoping to fall in love with one of these quarterbacks. And I'm not even close. I haven't even fallen in like yet.
So you're not even in dating mode?
No.
You're still in Tinder? You're still
I'm
flipping
still
through?
swiping away.
And
And
is it swipe left that you do when
Swipe
you're
left is
interested?
Don't
bad.
ask me. I have no idea.
Swipe left is bad.
Swipe right is good. So have you swiped left on anybody yet, or have you just not? You're sitting there looking at the pool?
I just open the app. No, put it down. Yeah, I
So you haven't eliminated anybody yet.
No. But that's because no one is separating themselves. So like you can't really eliminate someone for being below the rest of the crew, because I think they're all just kind of in a little group.
They've all got flaws. Like
Yeah.
that's the thing about and there are no guarantees. I get that, but they've all got flaws. Of course, you can take a look at another draft class like 2017 and say, well, Mahomes was flawed because you said, okay, can he translate from that system at Texas Tech to the NFL? And Deshaun Watson had flaws. Oh, is he tall enough? Oh, Mitch Trubisky
Strong arm enough,
Yeah, is his arm strong enough? Mitchell Trubisky had flaws. He was only a starter for 1 year now. 2 of them proved to be really good quarterbacks, and one of them was a bust. But like that's the thing. Like I feel like with the quarterbacks last year, if the Broncos kind of erred, it was that they focused on the reasons not to pick Mac Jones or Justin Fields instead of the reasons to pick them. Like Charles Robinson put the thing out about how it was Justin Fields' epilepsy that was a big deal for the Broncos not taking him, even though there's
it's
a lot
cop out.
Yeah, even though there's a lot of evidence to show that he's past that.
Yep.
But it's
How has that affected him this year?
If you're looking for here's the thing.
Yeah.
If you're looking for the perfect quarterback prospect,
You'll never have a
unless you
quarterback.
have the number 1 pick in a year with a generational prospect, you're not going to find that. You have to say
time.
what flaws can be corrected, can you live with? So, Kenny Pickett, can you live with 8.5-inch hands that don't reach the baseline most teams have for hand size?
I never want to hear hand size.
Yeah. But
Well, we're going to be talking a lot about that probably.
So here's what I don't want to see is last year, you make this decision based off of what you don't like about those guys.
Yeah.
What I don't want to see is them talk themselves into some guy this year who isn't as good as those guys, but they're desperate now and they got to make that pick to really put into perspective how I feel about this quarterback class so far. Is I wasn't a Mac Jones guy. Now, I didn't disparage Mac Jones because I've learned my lesson on doing that, and that has paid off for me. Because I said I'm not going to say I hate him because that will come back to bite me. I know it, and I was right. Mac Jones is much better than I expected, which I acknowledged as a possibility. If Mac Jones was in this quarterback class, he would be far and away the QB1, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt.
And where would Bryce Young be if he was in this quarterback class?
Also QB1.
Yep.
And that's something that maybe you think about. What if the play is collect as many assets as possible as you can for 23?
Right.
And in other words, all those assets, use them to move up and try to get Bryce Young.
No one wants to hear it, but
It would be no one wants to hear it because they know what that means for next year.
Yes.
But it would be a plan. And boy, the Broncos haven't had a real plan at quarterback since Peyton. And I mean, even when you get Peyton, that you weren't going into that offseason thinking we're going to get Peyton Manning.
So
he fell into your lap. The last plan you had was Jay Cutler.
Yeah. So it wouldn't be if we had suck for luck back in 2011. What is it for Bryce? Is it
dung
bail for Bryce?
Dung for Young.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not pretty out there, is what I would say about this class.
But could Broncos country take a season like that, a teardown season? And I don't think they would do that. I don't think George Payton would do that. That's the other thing.
This is not meant.
I think Payton is kind of he's that old, but he's got kind of that old school mentality of we gotta, let's see what we can do this year.
It is just crazy how much these seasons have started to pile on top of each other. Like, this is not a flex of my age here, but I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, by the end of the season, the Broncos, this bad stretch will have lasted 20% of my life.
Wow. Wow.
Like, this, it doesn't seem like 6 years is a long time, but 6 turns into 7, 7 turns into 8. You got to do something at some point.
Yeah.
Because it felt like 3 was a lot. And at that time, I was trying to keep the perspective of, like, 3 is nothing. Well, now it's doubled.
Right. Well, I mean, Mace, if you're right and George Payton isn't that type of guy, then he, better get really lucky by landing a future Hall of Fame quarterback, whether that's Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. And yes, that would be a lot of luck that goes into that. That wouldn't be just his doing. That would be the team saying we're moving on from him. That would be the quarterback saying we want to go. If that doesn't happen, they have the wrong guy. Because if your general manager is not going to be able to not necessarily do a full rebuild, but just continue to do what's not been working for so long, time and time again, then that's not someone that you should have running. You should have someone that runs your organization that's willing to look at everything. Maybe not do it, but at least look at it.
Well, the thing is also, I think the path they would prefer to take is stud veteran. Okay,
I think everyone.
Let's say Russell Wilson, but then that requires, we know how he values his draft picks. That requires George Payton probably sacrificing a mountain of draft capital.
It's especially in this year, it is worth it.
Yeah,
I agree. Although the picks you got for Von Miller, plus what you have, if you told me you could get Russell Wilson for 2 1s, which means you're 1 in 23 as well, 2 1s, 2 2s, 2 3s, sold.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean
sold. For me, if it's Mace GM.
I mean, I think I'm sold too, but I think it's 3 1s, 3 2s, and 3 3s is where you have to start, because what we were talking about with Aaron Rodgers last year, that's what we were talking about, and Russ is 5 years younger.
Yeah, to me, it doesn't matter.
But I think everyone takes Russ. Everyone, for the most part, takes Aaron Rodgers when you just talk about the football player. Deshaun Watson, if all that stuff goes away, you take him.
Also, speaking of, those two played yesterday. Wasn't pretty for Russ.
It was not. The Broncos' offense was better than Russell Wilson and the Seahawks yesterday. But if
Small
those
sample
options,
size theater.
if those options aren't there, I don't want the Broncos going after Geno Smith next year, and then the year after it's Ben Roethlisberger, who's coming out of retirement. Well, Mace, these are the guys the Broncos have gone after these past 5 years.
Mr. Flat Earth,
and,
just
and,
kill me
and,
right
and,
now.
And I don't want that, and I hope that's not what they do.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is the Broncos have been so off on the cycles that they're jumping into for the quarterbacks. Even the Pack, going back to the Paxton Lynch draft, and I was talking with Zach Seegers of Mile High Sports was here last night hanging out at the bar, and he brought this up too, and just kind of refreshed my mind on it. It was Carson Wentz and Jared Goff, and then everyone believed big drop-off. Mm-hmm. And then, the Drew Lock draft, it was that Kyler? Yep, Kyler, big drop-off.
Then was Daniel Jones.
And Dwayne Haskins and Drew Lock. And even remember going into that year, we were saying, because it was coming off, that was 1 year after the Josh Allen draft, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was like, I remember we were having conversations on the podcast going into it. We were saying like, next year's draft class isn't that great, so you got to think about this draft class. Well, of course, this is the exact same conversation we had heading into this draft. This is a good quarterback draft. Next year's doesn't look so promising so far. The Broncos, for a team who needs a quarterback so bad, their cycle is all messed up, and they should be aware of this.
That's why a plan is so good.
But in those years, they had the opportunity to pick the right guys.
Well, totally.
That's the thing. Like in 2012, the quarterbacks that followed Brock Osweiler were, Russ Wilson and Kirk Cousins and Nick Foles. Mm-hmm. I mean, Foles, franchise quarterback, nobody, still has a Super Bowl MVP. In 2016, you had Dak Prescott, who, if the Cowboys do pull off that trade and beat the Broncos the Broncos might end up with Dak Prescott. It's like,
Or they might have said he missed the flight, so we don't
Yeah.
want him, and they were looking for reasons not to like him.
And you can even go to the 2017 draft where the Broncos at that point that's the Mahomes draft. The Broncos at that point probably knew in their hearts that Paxton Lynch was not the guy.
Yep.
But, they didn't have the balls of, say, the Cardinals, who drafted Josh Rosen and then said, like, this guy isn't the guy. So then they went and got a new guy. So it's like every single time they've been off and out of the cycle. And it's it's a big reason why we're sitting here where we are.
Yep, exactly. And why we're talking about Teddy Bridgewater, who's getting paid $4 million this year, not doing enough to make a tackle. And he's the best quarterback the Broncos have had since 2014 Peyton, and this is what's defining him right now.
Before yesterday, would you have thought that he was capable of that? Like, in that situation, what do you think he would have done before yesterday?
I would have said he would have made an effort.
I would have said he would have dove at the legs, tried to make a play.
Done something.
Yeah.
I think that's the shocking thing. Based on what we've learned about Bridgewater and the leadership and all that, you'd think he would have done something.
Yeah.
I'm honestly really disappointed today.
Yeah, and credit to Melvin Gordon, who, and I've now watched this play like 100 times. I don't know why I keep putting myself through that. But he's the one who put the ball on the ground. He's full out effort trying to make a play.
And he's the last one trying to make a play. Yep.
And actually, I think the more I went back to it, was there a wide receiver on the field? If there was, they never got themselves into the play.
Was it just heavy?
It
was just tight ends? Just
They
fat
went
guys, as Darius Slay said?
Because you see Albert O in the play. You see, I think, Salbert in the play.
Yep.
You see Cam Fleming.
So then that would mean Noah Fant would also have to be on the field, right?
Yeah, I think, So I think Noah is out there. But either way.
Yep. Man, guys, after this conversation, I need to get a teeth cleaning because my mouth is just disgusting talking about this team. And you can get that teeth cleaning over at Green Mountain Dental. And guys, even better, if you schedule a cleaning, x-ray, and exam, they'll hook you up with a free Sonicare toothbrush so that after any conversation you have, you don't have to go to the dentist. You can just get your teeth cleaned with that free Sonicare toothbrush. Only a 15-minute drive from downtown Denver. They're a longtime DNVR partner, and they are part of our family. So go over to them, check them out, support them, and you get to talk Colorado sports when you're there. Get their feelings on how the game went. So make sure to give them a call over at Green Mountain Dental. Schedule that cleaning, x-ray, and exam, and you'll get set up with a free Sonicare toothbrush.
Also, if you're feeling like you need some comfort food, hit up our friends over at Sexy Pizza today. Yesterday at the tailgate, guys, I was about to get a slice of pizza, and then I saw the Sexy Pizza car roll up, and I was like, oh, man, fresh slice.
Yeah.
Brought it out piping hot, and the cheese was like the perfect amount of melty. It was a heavenly slice of pizza.
You're killing me. This sounds
it was
so good.
so freaking good, so melty, so cheesy, so much, the perfect amount of sauce, the perfect amount of crunch, the crust perfectly folds. I'm a crust folder. I don't know about you guys. And the
Especially
Sexy
at a
Pizza.
tailgate.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You're on the go.
Yeah.
But I fold every slice, regardless of situation.
Interesting. Sometimes I like that cheese to hit the mouth. I don't want it covered by the fold.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Anyways,
Are you guys ever knife and forkers for your pizza?
never. Well, I mean, like deep dish.
Yeah, but I mean like a regular, like a hand tossed New York style.
Hell no.
No.
I guess I'm the oddball. I'm like Mr. Pitt on Seinfeld. He would eat his candy with a knife and fork.
Mace, I think
I
it's
don't do
a
that, but I
very
do-
parent move.
I guess. Yeah, but yeah, I do find that about 50% of the time I eat my pizza with a knife.
Do
and
you
fork.
dab your pizza for the grease to take the grease off?
Like I put a paper towel over it.
Exactly.
Yes,
Yes.
I do.
Parent move again.
Yeah, I dab pizza like bacon. I always like if I pull fixed, I always get
Pat
the
it down.
accessories off. Yeah.
So I think the grease is kind of part of the experience.
Yeah.
You
Anyways,
reach an age where your gastrointestinal system can't handle but so much grease.
I think I'm at that age, and I just haven't figured out how to avoid that yet. So maybe I might be a pizza patter soon.
Anyway.
Anyways, check out Sexy Pizza. They've got locations all around Denver, and it's not just their great pizza, the knots, the pasta, all of it Really, really great. So check them out. Capitol Hill, Old South Pearl, Jefferson Park, Park Hill, and even a new location coming in Trinidad, Colorado for our vast group of listeners down there.
Yeah, also check out Hassel Cattle Company, because you know what? They've got something going on here with their damn good beef in advance of Thanksgiving. You know what? You don't have to have turkey on Thanksgiving.
Please spread the good word, Mace.
Yes, you can have beef. Hassel Cattle Company is giving our listeners a holiday special with 15% off your entire purchase. There's nothing better than delicious Wagyu beef as a holiday gift. You can serve it for Thanksgiving. You can treat your guests right. You can just send it to your friends and tell them put it in their freezer, grill it whenever they want. Send this to family and friends for an unforgettable Christmas gift and use the code DNVR15. That's DNVR15 to get 15% off your entire order. And of course, if you get that order at $200, you're going to get free shipping on it. Now, if you want to, let's say you're in the Denver area, you're like, okay, you've told me about Hassel Cattle Company beef. I want to try it. Come on down to the DNVR bar and have the Hassel Cattle Company burger. We know so many people have loved it, including Shelby Harris when he came down here a few months ago, and he was raving about that Hassel Cattle Company burger. I know you guys have had it. And so come on down, taste it. Taste the difference in that Wagyu beef from Hassel Cattle Company, and then you're going to want it on your table at Thanksgiving, at Christmas. You're going to want to send it to your friends. Use that code DNVR15 and get 15% off. And, of course, like I said, get that order $200 and get free shipping at Hassel Cattle Company. It's HASSELL cattlecompany.com, HassellCattleCompany.com.
All right, let's get to our comments here. First, we got a couple super chats. I know, Allie, so let's hit these first. Oh, more than a couple. All right. Wow. Well, let's work quick. From Alec. I can't really read that. You want to get that?
I can get it. Yeah, he says, in my opinion, Teddy's effort when we're down is discouraging. Checkdowns down 10+ with our receiving core is unacceptable. Give them a chance to make a play. Coaching could be better, yes, but players have to execute.
It's everyone. I will say I think that football is unique from any other sport in that coaches have, I think, maybe as much influence as the players on the results. But it's everyone. I mean, no one.
Yeah, more than baseball, more than basketball,
yep.
More than hockey.
Yeah, for sure. The coaches really, truly impact every game, every play of every game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. I agree. Next one coming in from Jake. He says, boys, I would rather have an incomplete or a deep interception with Locke on 3rd and 20 rather than Teddy 2 yards on 3rd and 20. Time for a change.
I mean, you might want that. Coaches definitely don't.
Yeah. Dream on.
Especially the turnover part.
Yep.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, like that's one thing that'll keep Teddy Bridgewater in the lineup is the fact that in 10 games he's counted for 6 turnovers.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
yeah, they like that. And also, Drew's been gone the past 10 days. So that's something that, for any position, but especially the quarterback position, is going to hurt.
Yep.
Next one coming in from Collection Connection says, Locke was a good pick. If Vic Fangio started him, we are...
Number one.
Hashtag exclamation mark.
I think maybe
number one is probably.
I'm going to interpret that as number one. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
Yeah, I can't buy into that. I like your optimism though. Next one coming in from Ian B. He says, you guys have been the best part of the season. I think most of us have more loyalty to DNVR than most Broncos players and coaches at this point.
Thank you so
much.
That
makes my day, Ian.
That's why we get out of bed in the morning for stuff like that. And I met some people yesterday who had some really nice things to say about what the podcast means to them, and that means more to us than we can express.
That was by far the best part of the day was hearing what our show, what we do means to so many people all over the country, people that flew in for the game.
Yep.
And I it was cool to meet people who'd never been to Denver, had never been to a Bronco game, and they were experiencing it for the first time, and the emotion.
Oh, yeah.
And now, but I also woke up thinking about everybody who was there for the first time and that traveled so far for the game and thinking, I mean, even though I don't work for the team, like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that was your first experience.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, it's weird. These games haven't even had, like, big moments where you're walking away saying like, man, that third down
Right.
in the fourth quarter was so loud. That was so cool. Like,
Yep. No, the loudest the stadium's been has been in the first quarter.
yeah.
The
kickoff.
The moment that could have been was Jamonte's touchdown that got called back.
Yep. Another
That was
tight end
rough.
holding penalty.
Yeah.
That was
Noah
rough.
Fant was in the clear
Yep, he was.
yesterday.
Yep, yep.
Everyone else picked up the slack.
Yep.
I'm usually really good at seeing something questionable like from the stand, seeing something questionable happen and pausing, but I was full on high-fiving everyone in the section, and that was rough.
Then it was
Well, it's
coming
funny.
back.
Dalton had the gesture, but it wasn't on him. It was on Salbert. But then you saw it was pretty clear. I mean,
Yep.
unfortunately,
It was a penalty.
it wasn't ticky tack. It was a good call.
Yep.
Javonte needs more touches.
Yep. He does. And guys, last night we may have saw the switch. He had more touches and more snaps than Melvin.
If Melvin's gonna put the ball on the ground, what do you cling to?
Nope.
Not the ball.
Yep.
Obviously, yeah. Nice.
Next one here.
OPMG says, ease up on Teddy, guys. He made a business decision yesterday, but he's tired of
Ill-timed.
But he's tired of ill-timed fumbles not helping his drives in a whack offensive scheme. Think of all the fumbles that ruined drives. This loss was on coaching.
That's a big one, so thank you very much.
And then he hits us with
OPMG.
another one and says, at least Teddy can read defenses. Drew Lock on one target and refuses to audible at the line. Teddy is one of the reasons we have been winning.
I'm so tired of Teddy versus Drew discourse because neither one is the guy. So it's just it's a waste of everyone's time.
That's the wisest thing that's been said, and I think it's completely accurate. The chances of either of these guys being the long-term answer are slim. There is a better chance the long-term answer is Kenny Pickett or Matt Corral than anybody on the roster. If you're putting odds down.
No doubt. Now, between just the two guys that are on the roster right now, who has a better chance of being the long-term guy? Is it Drew or is it Teddy? With everything you know right now.
Drew. I would say that he has a better chance of somehow coming in at the end of the season, catching lightning in a bottle. We know he's talented, and then the Broncos saying, "Oh, maybe we need to try this again." But it's like 5% to 0% in my opinion.
See, and I even disagree with that. I think it's Teddy because the organization's given up on Drew in nearly every single way.
I don't disagree with that.
And the thing is, if Drew does do that, I mean, I would still be in the quarterback market. And then if you've got a surplus, trade the surplus.
Yeah. As for his first comment about how he's tired of seeing ill-timed fumbles, and that's not an excuse for what he did.
Right. Yep.
He did make a business decision, and there's absolutely a chance that he could have hurt himself on that play.
Look what happened to Baker Mayfield last month.
Right, but there's a chance that you can hurt yourself on every play. You're playing football, and if you're putting on a uniform, you got to go play. You got to go be a football player.
Yeah.
And he absolutely was not on that play.
No, he wasn't. And
that is going to rub football players the wrong way.
When Peyton made that tackle on Calais Campbell, he was like on the ground and got him with a limb or something. That wasn't squaring him up, taking one on the shoulder. That's all we're asking Teddy to have done last night. Lay down and put your arm out.
He did that in back-to-back years because he did the same thing to Derek Johnson the year before. After a botched handoff between him and Montse Ball.
Yep.
And then what happened on the next play because you gave your defense a shot? Takeaway. They got the ball, and the offense got the ball back. And that's why you just make yourself an obstruction. I think no one expects a form tackle here.
I would have been fine with just a shove.
Yeah. Something. What would have been better than doing nothing? Something. Literally any something.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that's an important point to make. Is I'm not even saying he should have made the play. I'm just saying he should have tried.
Right, exactly. All right, guys, let's hop into the comment section, get to as many of these as we can. First one from Miss Quill. She says, this sounds weird on the surface, but I wish Teddy would throw some more picks. He started 6 for 7 passing on third downs, but for only 1 first down. Got to take some chances, especially when down big. Is that more play calling or just his nature?
Oh, it's his nature, for sure.
Throw to the open man, and if no one's open, take the check down.
It's a high completion percentage.
Yeah, and what you hope with the check down is that the guy can turn it into something big. He creates a missed tackle. I mean, like he had some plays against Dallas. that were thrown short of the 6, but the guy turns, fights up field, and moves the chains. That's what you're hoping for.
And I had people in my mentions last night saying, well, Melvin never fumbles that if Teddy just throws past the sticks on 3rd down. I look at it the exact opposite way of he at least got them in a position to where they could have gone for it on 4th down.
Right. They're not internally. They're not going to fault Teddy for that.
No.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of with you. Like, you have to take risks. Teddy made a risky and great throw to Alberto on that big play. Like, that was a tight window.
Tight.
It was in his favorite spot, which is the 5 to 10 yard hook. That he must have thrown 12 of those yesterday. But it was a risky throw. He made the play and it opened up a bigger play. Sometimes you just have to say, I'm gonna be a great quarterback here and make a great throw.
I mean, that's what Jalen Hurts did a couple of times yesterday. Pat Surtain was all over Devonta Smith, and he still made the throw.
I last night on the show I said, hey, Pat's got to make that play. He did make the play.
That's why I said it was perfect coverage.
I watched it closer, and you were right. He got his hand on the ball and everything, and it kind of like rolled up his arm and right into the hands. So I said, you just got to make that play. He got pretty unlucky that he didn't make the play. It wasn't his fault.
It happens sometimes. In baseball, they'd say you got to tip your cap. Do you remember that play 6 years ago where Keith Tlaib got beat by Gary Barnidge? It was a perfect throwing catch, and he was in tight coverage in the end zone in Cleveland.
Yeah,
it happens. It happens even to the best of guys.
But I mean, it wasn't even that perfect of a throw. Like, Pat had a chance to make a play on it. He got his hand right in the perfect spot. It hits off his hand, kind of like spins around the arm type of thing.
It was a perfect catch,
and it was a great catch. And honestly, I think if they called him out on the field, it probably would have stayed that way because it's pretty simultaneous with his hip and his back hitting in and out of bounds, but great play.
Yep. I got to get to this super chat. OPMG says, I'm in this chat fighting for my life. Teddy is better than Drew, LOL. This offensive scheme is trash, y'all. Open your eyes.
Oh, open your eyes out of that. Wow.
OPMG, I mean, I agree with you that Teddy is better than Drew, and we've seen it.
Any stat you can point to will back that up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I think it's crazy that people are still fighting over this. Teddy's your starting quarterback right now. Drew wasn't even in the building the past 10 days. Teddy's going to be your starting quarterback for a few more days. Just get behind whoever is under center.
Yep. Mile High Till I Die says, welcome to the DNVR Losers Lounge. I wonder if people will stop calling for Pat Shermer to be fired midseason now that we know what the interim will look like for the rest of the season. I'm sure people will still want him gone next year, but it seems like if we get rid of him now, it's just a lot of them same old BS. I mean, this is what we've cautioned of mid-season firings. They almost never magically fix things.
Yep.
But especially going to Pat Shermer's old pal, Mike Shula, is certainly not going to change much, and we saw that yesterday. All it does is give you less resources if you fire Pat Shermer, which, again, sometimes you have to do things for the symbolic reason of kind of giving everyone a clean slate. Maybe guys are feeling like, oh, Pat doesn't like me, that's why I'm not getting the ball, that sort of thing. But at the same time, you got to have some sort of plan in place, and I almost wonder if Vic is rolling his eyes today because he's saying that was why my one card I could have played to kind of re-energize the fan base during this bye week, and now that doesn't do anything for anyone. Like, if they fire Pat Shermer today and we're like, okay, Mike Shula's the OC for the rest of the season, that doesn't excite a single person.
And we're also saying, why didn't you do this move last week, 2 weeks ago, when it maybe could have helped you more?
Yep. Tough.
Next one from Boozy says, good day, gentlemen. I agree this team is bad. The record is a lie. The Cowboys win had me hyped, but this loss drags me back down to reality. Fire the coaches. We need a full rebuild. I just want to shout y'all out. Came to my first Broncos game this weekend, and the tailgate was awesome.
So glad you made it. So glad you had a good time.
Yes, so glad.
Great meeting you.
Kendall Hinton, Hall of Famer, such an awful loss. I feel confident last week saying odds are the Cowboys game is basically a fluke, and it looks like that's true. This is a tough season to watch. By the way, I had some Neapolitan cake again, and it reminded me about how damn good those 3 flavors are in cake form and how dismissive you guys, particularly Mace, were. Mace even said, why would you want that? Just have ice cream. Mace, can you defend yourself?
I still feel that way.
Why do people eat ice cream cake? Why do people want strawberry flavor Pop-Tarts? If they can just eat strawberries, LOL. I love chocolate cake. Vanilla cake is insanely good, but the strawberry cake might be the best. The strawberry layer is one of the greatest strawberry flavor things I've ever tasted. This is better than the ice cream. No contest. We're talking like Eagles over Broncos level of no contest.
Maybe I just had a bad experience with Neapolitan cake.
I've never had Neapolitan cake. I've never been
I have not either.
Neapolitan ice cream fan though. Like I would choose one of the three things that I wanted in that moment. I'm never craving all three at the same time.
I can get into Neapolitan ice cream. I like having multiple flavors.
See, I picture like The Simpsons where Homer looks in the fridge, he sees Neapolitan ice cream, opens up the container, it's out of chocolate. Goes to the next container of Neapolitan ice cream, it's out of chocolate. He's, Marge, we need more vanilla chocolate and strawberry ice cream. Just buy the chocolate.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but each of the vanilla and strawberry is always intact.
Right.
Chocolate's out, vanilla, strawberry, untouched.
Love it. Dan Burke, hey guys, most of the comments will be about that mess of a game yesterday, but on a more positive note, can we talk about George Payton arranging for the rookies' parents to be flown in and accommodated at the facility?
Awesome.
I thought it was a classy gesture by Payton and all involved, and I've not wavered from my thought that the Broncos have the right guy to turn this around. What do y'all think? Definitely a nice touch.
Yeah,
Definitely
very,
nice touch.
very good touch. Absolutely.
And
taking care of the families.
And Patrick Smythe pointed out on Twitter this was like a project that was championed and arranged by Kelly Klein, who, of course, came over from the Vikings and is working as George Payton's right hand in a lot of ways.
Yep, exactly. Lou Drock says, guys, long time no comment, but I'm back. Where do you guys stand on what you would like to see for the rest of the season now? Although we're still in the hunt, this team is not going to the playoffs. My biggest worry is that somehow we finished 9-8, and that gives Peyton some hope for the future. I hate to cheer on the tank, but I want this team to lose now. And this isn't even necessarily to do with the draft picks. It's to ensure that Fangio, Shermer, McMahon, and Teddy are not here come September. These guys will simply never get it done. Curious to get your thoughts on what you would like to realistically see, and what will Vic will Vic and Co be gone regardless of our record, assuming we don't make the playoffs? Cheers, Charlie.
I don't think so. I said this in our Broncos pick'em. George Payton said he wants to play meaningful games in December, and there's a very good chance that the Broncos will play meaningful games in December. And I worry that could be enough to save Vic Fangio's job.
Yep, I think close to 500 and Vic's back.
I think it's playoffs or bust.
Okay.
Yeah. And the reason that I say close to 500 is just like Ryan said. It would be 500, or they would be competitive in December.
Word. All right, let's hit this last super chat here from Neil Jones. Let's be honest, if Drew was markedly better than Teddy, he would be starting. They are essentially the same guy. Neither is QB1. Go get rest. I'm with you, Neil. And the last one here in the comment section is 3 Vic Fangios standing around on each other's shoulders in a trench coat. Y'all are being too tough on the offense. I think the strategy was maybe to leave Slay alone and maybe he'll think the play was blown dead and stop running. Solid plan. Just didn't pay off this time.
It was bold strategy, Cotton.
I did wonder originally if they thought Melvin was down or something. Like, that's how weak the effort was. I thought they're like, let's not waste our energy chasing this guy. Let him burn himself out.
Well, it was interesting. Like, I just watching kind of the flow of the play. There, by the way, the one wide receiver out there was Tim Patrick, and he was on the opposite side of the field. Like, Noah Fant,
but Darius Slay was running back and forth.
Right. Yeah. No, like so Noah, Noah Fant, has that like he cuts off the right part of the field for Slay. And that was kind of what he was doing, and then he's blocked, and then Slay just doubles back. I mean, I want to see the all 22 because on that play, I want to know where everybody was. We know Salbert was made. We know Salbert lunged. We know Albert O was trying to run and keep up, but was blocked. We know Cameron Fleming was running, and we
just don't know where Tim was.
Yeah, we'll see the all 22, and we'll get a better view of that. Let me ask you this: since you were in the stands, RK, and you were in the end zone. What was the crowd reaction at that, as it happened? And did people realize the lack of effort from Teddy?
No, definitely not from our seats did anyone know about the lack of effort from Teddy, because I even tweeted it out, unacceptable fumble from Melvin Gordon, and all of my mentions were Teddy. I was like, what did he do? So then I saw the replay. I was like, oh, yeah, that's bad. The reaction in the stands, honestly, from where our seats was just utter dejection. just full on. You went from thinking you're going to go tie the game to the game is over. And I think everyone kind of felt that way. And it was just like a shock.
Yep. Big time shock. And boy, that's what that game was last night.
Oh, the Chiefs?
No, the Broncos.
Oh, okay.
It was dark with when it ended, so it made me think last night.
Yeah, it was definitely dark. I'll tell you that.
Yep.
I don't know when it's going to lighten up around here either. All right. That's going to wrap it up for us today on the DNVR Broncos podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. And we will catch you tomorrow. Big shout out to Green Mountain Dental on our way out. The absolute best AM family-owned dentist in the metro area. Check them out if you need any work done. And if you schedule a cleaning, x-ray, and exam, Green Mountain Dental Group will hook you up with a free Sonicare toothbrush. That does it for us. We'll catch you on the DNVR Broncos podcast tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in.